Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Delightfully Unhinged with me, May.
Sandy.
And Harriet here.
Okay, so today we're going to tackle a really big topic, something that has been plaguing us. And I don't think that this is a topic that is going to be foreign to all of you, the listeners. We're going to talk about, how we deal with loneliness and a sense of belonging, maybe even a sense of a loss or maybe a gain of identity when we move away from home, when we move away from a place we consider home. We're just going to have a conversation because this is something that is unique to everybody's experiences. But we also have a feeling that even when we deal with all these unique feelings of our own, this is something that people can understand and empathize with one another, especially those of us who are kind of far away from the people that we love or far away from places that we have been familiar with for a really long time. So I'm going to open up the floor for discussion with my co-hosts, and I'm going to pose a question, and I'm just going to let us do our thing. So the first question that we were going to explore was, when do we feel most lonely, even when we're with people around us? I think this is something that we all experience. You've heard it in love songs, at the very least, right? You've seen it in movies. So how do we, when do we feel it the most?
When I can't fully express myself, that's the thing. Because language is the main thing that makes me feel so lonely here in Japan. Even when I visit a hair salon or a tattoo parlor, right? After the initial consultation, it just become very awkward. Like neither me or the artist initiate the conversation anymore. Aside from the occasional thumbs up and awkward laugh, and it's just like 1 to 3 hours of silence. The silence is too loud, and it's just like I get nervous and uncomfortable, and at the same time, it goes for the other person as well.
I think what comes to my mind when you're talking about that experience is like cultural loneliness,
Yes.
right? So I think there are like emotional loneliness, there's social loneliness, and then there's
Yeah.
cultural loneliness. So language, food, just like everyday kind of life that we were used to growing up, they are not there anymore when we move across different countries and different environments. Yeah, I think that familiar feeling is always kind of like displaced from you, and then that
Yeah.
becomes like culturally lonely. I think that's the one that is hitting us hardest. Yeah, like emotional loneliness, social loneliness, you can go and make friends, or you can like discover new people, new things, new initiatives, new interests. A piece of yourself is, I don't know, where is it? Like we can't find it.
I'm an introvert, okay? I'm very socially awkward, but I'm so desperate to feel belong that I'm so happy when I get invited to a dinner or social drinking parties by my husband's colleagues. Most of them are Japanese, but sometimes like when I get to meet people who can speak English, it feels like I win the lottery. So from
Yeah.
time to time, I force myself to socialize with room full of people. The conversations are mostly surface level. Where are you from? Can you speak Japanese? How did you guys meet? But I need those to feel like a human being sometimes.
And then you need the alcohol, right? That's why you go to the
I'm so
dinner.
fluent when I'm fluent in Japanese after I drink like about 3 glasses of wine. So yeah, it helps a little bit. But normally I'm just illiterate in Japan.
It's so funny. Yeah.
I think I feel like maybe this falls under social loneliness. I feel lonely when I see people in front of me walking with their families, or like, so I take the bus, like from my new place, I take the bus to the train station, and sometimes I see families, young family with a baby and a mother and a father, and I feel lonely when I look at them because I feel like it just kind of highlights that I live alone. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to have a child or that I want to have a baby. It just, is a different circumstance to the way that I'm living. So I feel lonely when I see people having like conversations. I like going to sit in the park and I see people like talking to one another and just having a really good time, a bunch of friends, all different age groups, and I feel a bit lonely. But then like, I don't really necessarily feel sad about it. I just sit with the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and I also know that at some point I'm the person who's sitting with my friends, and I'm the person who's like holding hands with my family, and some other person's looking at us and feeling that also. So I guess sitting with that discomfort or just that nostalgia, the happy sad feeling, I call it, because it's like happy that you had that feeling, but then sad that you don't have that experience at the moment, right? It's like happy sad
Yeah.
realization. It's so bizarre. Like it's just dual, the duality of these opposite feelings at the same time. It's kind of nice. I find it quite grateful that in these moments that I have memories to go back to that, made me miss. Like how lucky are we to be able to miss something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
very
get I
true.
get what you mean. Because sometimes I see people like that, I feel the same way. People are like hanging out with your friends, with your family. When I see them, I feel like I am me and they're them. We don't belong with each other. So that's a feeling. Living in Japan is, I don't know. I don't know how to make myself belong here. Like
I completely
I
feel
think
that
it's
way. I've been here 7 years
yeah,
and I really feel I don't belong. Even in onsens, I feel like
yeah,
even when we're not wearing any clothes, I feel like definitely don't belong because that's
mm,
exactly when my skin color shows
yeah.
that I am not the same as most of the people in Japan. It's just, in awkward moments, you just realize like you don't belong.
Yeah, since we're talking about like loneliness and belonging, from what I'm hearing, we're talking about a lack of kind of meaningful
Connections,
connection
communication.
and
Mm,
social identity and identity affirming kind of connection. That's what we're missing, I think. Because for me personally, I grew up abroad like since 18 years old, and it's always been with people from different cultures, different systems, different countries, and different ways of lives. But when you go back home, you feel a little bit out of the place as well because you've been away for so
yes.
long. And then when you go back, to meet
Mm,
your friends and families. You don't really like belong there also, but you have that sense of homeliness and very comfortable feeling. But also like when you go back to the resident country, you also feel a little bit out of the place. So you're like always in between. Like that's such a weird feeling. So I don't know. Sometimes we say like what makes a home is like the people that you spend time with, people who you connect with. So I think it's also a bit hard to find the people that you really click with instantaneously and that you can just like
yeah.
feel that connection. Yeah, so like there's a lot of mixed up and messed up feelings and emotions all the time. And I think it's like really huge, right?
Alone can't get close too fast, too soon. You have to take time
Yeah,
to get to know one
Mm,
another, right? So there's a book called Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown, and there's an
mm,
entire
oh yeah,
like
I know her.
thing on belonging, right? And I think you guys hit the nail on the head when you were talking about like if they vibe with you, right? So she said here
yeah,
that we have to belong to ourselves as much as we need to belong to others. Any belonging that asks us to betray ourselves is not true belonging. So belonging is
Mm,
also about like, you know, fitting into the group seamlessly without having to sacrifice parts of your identities that are important of who you are, right? So she said
yeah.
that true belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. True belonging doesn't require you to change who you are, it requires
mm,
you to be who you are. So I guess that's what we want to have in terms of belonging. We want to belong,
yeah,
but we don't want to become a broken part to belong with someone, right?
yeah.
That
And
explains why we can't feel belong in Japan.
yeah, like I think Japan, it has a nature of isolation. I mean, I think they don't even make their own people want to belong with one another, right?
Yeah,
Like there's this idea of like from me as an observer from the outside, also a language barrier also, right? Like uh, for some of us who can't speak the language that well, I don't drink. The drinking culture, for example, is something that I cannot belong to. The smoking culture, I cannot belong to it. So that already like cuts me off, for example, professionally after like work, hanging out with my colleagues. So I wrote a paper. We did a research on belonging. We wanted to ask language teachers in university settings how they feel about belonging. Like, how do they define belonging? And then that leads us to the next question. I'll tell you about the results, but let's talk about ourselves. Like, do you think that belonging is something that is external or internal or both?
I think it's both.
I think it's both, yeah. Because when you were
Sometimes,
talking
yeah, you go first.
Yeah, so when you were talking about that excerpt from Brene Brown's book, because we can be true to ourselves, and then if the other person accepts us as who we are, then we feel immediately connected to them, and we can be very frank and open with them, and it's something that we always had when we were growing up in our own countries and in our own families and communities with cousins and families, extended families and friends, and people in the neighborhood. But then when we move abroad, it kind of like faded away, right? And then you have to start making new friends again. And then every time you make new friends, you have to be like test the water, like what is she like, what is he like, and then you feel that again the culture like yeah who you have to put on like a face to fit into a certain community or like certain event, then things really get complicated. That's why some people just don't want, like sometimes I don't feel like I want to make an effort to get to know other people anymore, because like it's it's hard if like you don't find that your kind of people with a relatively low effort, then you rather stay alone. And then I think maybe that's also what's contributing to like the loneliness epidemic thing that we're facing as a global phenomenon, right? Since like 2019, 2021, COVID, and even before that with the surge in digital tools and platforms.
I think it's more internal with the loneliness, epidemic. I think, we were just talking about whether it's external, internal, or both. And I think a lot of the time we're finding lack of like sense of belonging in our own bodies, in a way even, right? Because we're displaced like emotionally sometimes. We're
Yeah.
displaced in terms of like a professional, like development, or maybe just professionally, personally, socially, all of these things, we have a displacement in there, and that displacement is amplified with outside factors and the world, going all these in different directions. And then just, not having time to build these meaningful connections is also such a big deal, right? So I recently joined a group where people sit down and read without talking for 2 hours. So we all get together, and then for 30 minutes, we're supposed to read without talking. We have to read an actual book, by the way, not from a mobile device, an actual book. So 30 minutes you read, and then like 10 minutes you talk to the person next to you, and then you do 30 minutes again reading without talking. And I think that expresses like the situation of the times really perfectly. You want to do activities together where you can do alone. It is weird, but then it's building community in a way, because like you get to be yourself.
You're
You
being
get to
lonely
read.
together.
Yeah, but then they like in this
Lonely
loneliness,
together.
like it's not even lonely, right? Like it's
You
like
mean
this is like introverts paradise. Like you get to be with
what the
people,
heck?
but you don't have to like strike up conversations. But if you wanted to ever to strike up, need to converse, you could just talk about the topic at hand, which is your book. I want to belong
Okay.
to that group.
But isn't it similar to when you visit a library and then you start reading random books and then you can like talk to
No,
someone
this is not
beside
the
you as
same.
well?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
but
I
it's
mean,
more
kind
the
of
more structure.
more structured, and people came for that purpose, right? So we kind of know the
Oh
structure.
yeah,
Like it takes away
people are on the
uh,
same
the
page.
the the anxiety, the social anxiety of having to strike up a conversation with an entirely new person in the library who may or may not respond back to you, right? But then when you go to that group, you get to sit down and you know that they will respond because they are expecting that 10 minutes.
Wow,
For
people
10
come up
minutes,
with these.
you switch like your introvert self to extrovert self. For 10 minutes, you force to you force
Yeah,
yourself
it's
to
like
speak to the
structured.
person
It
next to
it
you.
works so well for people who have
Oh
social
wow.
anxiety. You're like, it is a structured social outing. So anyway, belonging is super freaking important. All these teachers that we interviewed like 50 people, and they gave us like they were talking about in university context, and they were saying like more people wanted to define, like they said that they belong to this, they feel like they belong to this university or their workplace when they're invited to social outings, things that are not related to work stuff. Someone was really happy. One of the people that we interviewed was really happy that somebody called them because they were ill. And another was like super happy that somebody came to visit them at the hospital. That's like this, like the fact that you're cared for as a human being really makes a big difference in whether a person feel like they belong to a community or not. I mean, surprise, surprise, right? But how many workplaces can do that kind of thing? Like, how many workplace people have that, that kind of environment? I certainly didn't have that environment when I was in my previous workplace. Not because the people were malicious, but everybody has like lives going on. So it's so weird, and at the same time, like, I guess it's all about perspective. Like I, like very much value the friendships that I have built in my older years because they definitely are meaningful. And I chose to be in friendships with certain people because I feel like I can belong by just me being me, right? Like not having to be someone else. So that is something to be considered. So like, let's talk a little bit about like, ဘာတွေသတိရလဲအိမ်မှာဘာတွေသတိရလဲဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းစဉ်းစားအောင် like တခုခု miss ဖြစ်ပြီးသတိရပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အိမ်အကြောင်းဘာတွေကိုသတိရအဆုံးလဲ
တခါလေကြာရင်အိမ်မှာရတဲ့ခံစားချက်ပေါ့နော် feelings တွေကိုသတိရတယ်ခါလေကြာလို့ရှိရင်အစားအသောက်ကိုသတိရတယ် yeah mostly feelings the feeling of naturally included without the need to try so hard to feel included ဟုတ်တယ်ငါက Harriet ပြောသလိုပဲအခုချိန်မှာကိုအိမ်လို့ခေါ်ခဲ့တဲ့နေရာကိုပြန်ရောက်သွားရဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းအရင်တော့ခံစားချက်မျိုးတော့ရရမှာမဟုတ်ဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါတော့သိကြတယ်အခုပြန်သွားလို့ရှိရင်မတူတော့ဘူးဒါပေမဲ့
you've outgrown the place
yeah my place there was lost forever and I have not yet found it here too but anyways you know what she gave her feelings တွေပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့ရကြတာပေါ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးဖြစ်တယ်တခါလေးကျရင်စိတ်ထဲမှာ
စိုက်တီးစားတဲ့ချင်းအရင်လိုအချိန်လေးကိုပြန်ရကြတယ်
yeah အရင်လိုဘွားမျိုးပြန်ရောက်
ဘွားမျိုးပြန်ရောက်ရှင်တယ်
yeah
what about you Harriet
အစားအသောက်ရှိမယ်ပြီးရင်မိဘတွေရှိမှာပေါ့မိဘတွေ like just the feeling of being with them like in the country it's it just gives a different vibe
like တမင်စားတဲ့အချိန်လေးဆိုတည်းရ
တမင်စားတဲ့အချိန်လေးပေါ့နော်ဘယ်လိုရှိရင်ဟိုဘေးကနေအမေကပတ်စီပြောတဲ့ဟာပေါ့နော်ဟိုလိုမျိုးစားပြီဆိုလဲဟိုကထဲစားတရားထဲစားဟိုကမစားဘူးလားနေစားအများနဲ့အဲ့ဒါလေ it was super annoying right back then အခုကျတော့လဲအဲ့လိုဘေးကနေအဲ့လိုမျိုးပြောနေမှသူဟို
မရှိ
တော့လွမ်းတာအဲ့လိုမျိုးဟာလေးပေါ့အဲ့ဒါလေးရှိမယ်
အခုဆိုပြီးတော့ sorry တကြံနာနီးလိုက်မလားတကြံနာနီးလာပြီဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒါကိုသတိရတယ်ကွာအရင်တော့ကလို့လေအဲ့လိုမျိုးဟိုတကြံဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ရက်ွက်ထဲမှာရှောက်ပြီးတော့လမ်းရှောက်ပြီးတော့ရေပတ်ခံတာတော့အဲ့ဒါမျိုးတွေသတိရတယ်ပြီးတော့ဟိုဒါပေမဲ့အခုနေပြန်လို့ရှိရင်လေကိုနဲ့ကဲပေါ်ကဲဘက်တွေကတရားမှမရှိတော့ဘူးကွာ
ကိုတတိပုဂ္ဂလကြီးလာရှောက်အောင်မှာတော့
မရှိတော့အခါကျတော့တူတော့မှာမဟုတ်ဘူးအရင်တော့ကလို့တော့လေဒါပေမဲ့အရင်တော့ဟာလေးကိုပြန်ပြီးလွမ်းစွတ်တန်းတာတတိယအောင်နော်နီးလာပြီဆိုရင်
မျိုးကျော်မြိုင်ရဲ့တခြင်းလေနိုင်ငံခြားတခြင်းကိုခိုးဆိုထားတဲ့တခြင်းကိုအကြိုက်ဆုံးပဲသိရမှာဒါနာဒီလာဒီလာနာဒီလာ
မတရားတကြ
အဲ့တခြင်း
အဲ့တခြင်းကြားရဲ့အဲ့တခြင်းကလေတို့ရဲ့အတွက်က Christmas တခြင်းလို့ပဲတစ်နှစ်လုံးနားထောင်တာကိုရစိတ်နဲ့ခါလေးဖွင့်နားထောင်တယ်
ဆိုတော့မကြိုက်ဘူးမဲ့တခြင်းကတော့
actually တခြင်းနဲ့ဝေးနေတာကဘယ်နှစ်တောင်ရှိပါလဲဆိုတော့15နှစ်
တော်တော်ကြာပြီ
Yeah.
Thailand မှာတော့ Songkran ရှိသေးတယ် Songkran ရှိရဆိုပေမဲ့အဲ့ Songkran ကမြန်မာ feel နဲ့တော့မတူဘူးပေါ့နော်ပြီးတော့ဗတောက်ပန်းတွေမမြင်ရတာလေဗတောက်ပန်းတွေအဲ့လိုမျိုးတကြံဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဝါထိန်နေတာမျိုးတွေလေမတွေ့ရတာ
တကြံမိုးစကြွားပြီးဆိုကြတဲ့ကအဲ့လိုမျိုးမြေသင်းနှံလေးတွေရပြီးပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ဗတောက်နှံလေးတွေရပြီးအဲ့ဒါလေးပေါ့နော် Yeah like this yeah smell
မြန်မာပြက်ကလေးရှိကြလား
language မရှိဘူး
ရှိဘူးမေကတော့
Yeah
So all those things we talk so many things about တကြံနေရောဘာတွေရောတကြံတချင်းနေရောအိမ်တတိယတာတွေရောစုံတာပဲเนาะ so အဲ့တော့အခုကတော့အရင်တော့က definition of အိမ်နဲ့အခု definition of အိမ်ပေါ့เนาะအဲ့တော့အိမ်ဆိုတာဘယ်လိုအဓိပ္ပာယ်ဖွင့်ကြလဲ like how are we defining home right now for us
အခုတော့ဘယ်နေရာမှာမှတေချာကိုက belong ဖြစ်နေရလို့တော့မခံစားရဘူးပေါ့နော်အတီးကြိုင် belong ဖြစ်နေလို့တော့မခံစားအိမ်ကတော့အမြင့်နေရာတကာမှာရှိနေတယ်အိမ်ကတော့ဒီမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်
It's everywhere and nowhere
everywhere nowhere yeah exactly yeah
Do you think you find home with people more now?
Yeah home is with the people yeah
For me like home has become temporary moments like ဘယ်အချိန်မှအိမ်ရှိနေတယ်အိမ်ကို at ease ဖြစ်နေတယ်လို့မခံစားရတော့တကြောင်မလို့ကိုခင်တဲ့သူတွေကိုချစ်တဲ့သူတွေနဲ့စကားပြောရတဲ့အချိန် hang out လုပ်ရတဲ့အချိန်ကကိုအတွက်အဲ့ temporary home ကိုပဲ home လို့စဉ်းစားထားလိုက်တာပေါ့နော်တကယ်တမ်း settle ဖြစ်နေတဲ့ feeling တော့မရှိတော့ဘူး so there was so much security when I was younger but now there's like insecurity ဖြစ်နေတယ်လို့ပြောရမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှင်လည်းပဲ negative တွေးနေဆိုလူကငိုချင်စရာဖြစ်သွားမှာဆိုတော့အဲ့လိုမစင်စားလိုက်ပဲနဲ့ mind frame ကတော့ mindset ကို change လုပ်တာကတော့ဒီလိုတကယ်ချင်းနေနဲ့စကားပြောတဲ့အချိန်တပည့်တွေနဲ့ရည်နေရတဲ့အချိန်ပေါ့နော်ကိုပျော်နေတဲ့အချိန်တခုခုမှာအဲ့အချိန်ကကိုတော့ at home ပဲ
yeah exactly
it's a home becomes like a state of mind
yeah
ဖြစ်သွားတာ
yeah ခြေသုံးအိမ်တိုင်း
ခြေသုံးအိမ်တိုင်းဝါပြ
ဟုတ်တယ် feeling နေမှာကြတော့ sorry ကျန်တဲ့ချိန်နေမှာကြတော့လေ option ကလည်းတိတ်ပြီးတော့မရှိတော့ဘူးပေါ့နော် the only option I have for me is like accept and move on so just Sandy this is your home now try harder study like a mad woman so I can't get closer to feeling belong so anyways home is everywhere and nowhere like you said yeah
but at least we can find home and comfort in like talking to one another too and I hope that when people listen to the podcast they can find some home and they also know thatဒီလိုမျိုးဖြစ်နေတဲ့မတင်မကျ feeling ကြီးက it's normal it's natural
yes
we have no choice but to go through with it right because we can't stop existing we can't just like disappear into the nether this is something that we have to go through ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့ go through ဖြစ်ရမယ်တူတူတော့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့ဒီရဖြစ်တည်နေတဲ့အချိန်မှာပဲ meaningful ဖြစ်အောင်လို့နေပြီးတော့ just trying to like remind ourselves that it's in the little moments we have to take joy in the little moments
yes
အရင် philosophical
ဖြစ်တဲ့အချိန်လေးရောရှိရလို့တခါလေကျရင် art အကြောင်းပြောနေရတာတို့ပုံဆွဲနေရတာတို့အဲ့အချိန်လို့ဆိုလို့ရှင်တော့ဒီဟာကကိုယ့်အတွက်တည်တံ့bubble လေးပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးလေးတော့ဖြစ်တာမျိုးတော့ရှိပါတယ်တခါကျရင်တော့ yeah and when I talk to my friends like you said and when I talk to my family
yeah well, I mean we do talk to friends and families almost every day ဒါပေမဲ့ digital ကနေပြောတာလေနော် in person နဲ့တအားကိုကွာတာတကယ် person တွေ့ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင် it's so different and so like wholesome အခုတော့မှဒီ podcast ကိုပေါ့နော် in person လောက်ရင်ဘယ်လောက်ကောင်းမလဲပေါ့နော်အမြဲတမ်းစဉ်းစားတယ်
ဟုတ်တယ် we could give hugs to each other
so it's that always like unsettling feeling ဖြစ်နေရပါလိမ့်နော်အမြဲတမ်းအဲ့လိုမျိုးဖြစ်နေပြီအဲ့ဒါလည်း
we live in a world where we are more connected than ever but somehow feel more alone than ever
အဲ့လိုမျိုးstate of unsettling feeling နော်
yeah There's so
မ
much
မေပြောရတဲ့
uncertainty.
ဒီ how ဟွာဗာလဲ you just have to learn to live with it ပေါ့နော် အဲ့လိုဖြစ်သွားပါဒါပဲဒါကတော့ဖြစ်နေမှာပဲ natural ဖြစ်နေ new normal ဖြစ်သွားပြီလေနော်အဲ့လို
Yeah,
ဆိုတော့
Yeah.
just like coming to terms with it is even very hard. So how do we
okay.
like adjust and move on and like with everything that's going on back home and all the atrocities and everything and you know it's like there's always something that's holding you back from really opening up and really embracing that new change in your life because people move around all the time all over the world like centuries, right? And then they find their new homes in different places but I just feel like at this age and time things are just so much harder.
Yes.
Yeah, with the pandemic and with everything that's going on in the world, politics, and yeah, all these things just
Well,
makes it like 10 times harder.
it is harder, but I'm reading this book called When Things Fall Apart.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a really good book
To
because
get back to reading too.
they
When
said that
things
when
fall.
there's a big disappointment, we don't know if that's the end of the story. It may be just the beginning of a great adventure.
That's
So
how mobile ရောက်မလား
Adventure တကယ်ရောက်မလာတော့ဘူး
ဟိုကလေ
အရင်တော့ရှိ
တင်မော
ခဲ့
ပြက်
တဲ့
ဆို
အဲ့
ရ
လို
င်
မျိုးလေစွတ်
တင်မော
စား
ပြ
ချ
က်
င်စိ
ကြီး
တ်
က
တွေ
လေဟိုဒီပင်လယ်ထဲမှာတင်မောပြက်ကြီးနဲ့ရှောက်သွားတယ်အဲ့ဒါကြီးကလေတင်မောဟိုပင်လယ်ကြီးကလည်းအရန်ကျယ်တော့လေ you can't see the end of it like you just all you see is water လေ any feeling
Yeah.
when are we gonna
I
come to
don't
the
know, like slowly floating away. Like,
bye
oh,
yeah.
internet somebody said like if you're going through the roughest part of your life, why would you stop? Why would you want to stop? Because if you stop, then you're gonna just be stuck in that, worst part of your life forever. If you want to get
Yeah.
out of this worst part of your life, you have to keep walking. So I walk with the hope that one day these feelings will dissipate more or less, and then I'll be able to find my community again, and this feeling of loneliness and unbelonging will be, somewhat reduced to a certain degree because we all deserve to have that feeling of sense of belonging, right? And maybe we'll find ways to build a community for ourselves also so that we can, create the community that we can belong to if there's no community that we can find to belong to, right? Maybe like we can take action that way. It might be good. I mean, with this podcast, this is what we're doing. Like we're battling with our own, sense of loneliness by getting together to talk about it, right? And then sharing that we all feel that, like we all feel to a certain degree, not even like a small degree. Like some of us feel so much more, and on some days, and then some days you're, okay to deal with the feelings, right? So these feelings come and go with intensity, varying intensities with each passing day, and I guess we're trying to tackle it. This is our way of coping. This is one way of coping with it. So maybe we need to find more than one way to cope with this. Right?
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, obviously, but
Yes.
we have to do something about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think action is the key word here. Yeah, we need to take action to get out of it. And then
Like find that hobby.
Take strength from each other along the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like keep yourself busy, like when I moved to the big city, right? I tried to like tell myself like, okay, like now that you're in the big city, you do the things that you wish that you could have done when you were living in the smaller town.
I know.
So I try to like join a hiking group or like a walk sketch group. So, in the coming weeks, I'll try to do all those things. Like I'll try these at least once to see how it feels. Maybe I'll find my community there.
Yeah.
Right?
I should find some groups to join as well, actually.
I just want to be unhinged without caring about anyone. Why can't I do that? Why is adulting so
But
hard?
unhinged, what does your unhinged mean?
Oh, like just making jokes all the time.
Just
without-
trying to let
Yeah,
loose.
that's okay. That's completely fine. That's fine. Like,
But when you meet someone
unhinged
new, right, you have to like put up a facade a little bit. Like, oh, you have to act professional a little bit.
ဒီ Grand Theft Auto
When you
လို
start
မျိုးတခါတည်းလူတွေကို run down လုပ်ချင်တာလို့ Unhinged လား
အဲ့လိုမဟုတ်ဘူး
ဘာဖြစ်အပြင်သွားပြီဆိုတော့ကိုနဲ့အဲ့လိုမသိရသူ social setting တွေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ anyways we have to put on a mask like
yeah
မလုပ်ချင်လဲလုပ်နေရကွာသိလားဟုတ်လို့လေယဉ်
အဲ့
ကျေး
ကြောင့်
မှု
လေ
ဆို
mask သုံးပြီးတော့ပြောမလို့အားကြောင့်မလို့ဂျပန်မှာ mask တက်ကြတယ်နော်ဟို mask တက်ပြီးတော့ပြောစရာမလိုတဲ့လူနဲ့တွေ့ပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အားကြောင့်မလို့ it's like I'm very happy to find those kind of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we should end this before my like networks stop working. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys, felt some of your loneliness being answered in our hodgepodge conversation. We are reading some books, and we will maybe do another episode on more books next time around. So stick around with us. Let us know. Tell us some things about yourself also, like if you guys are listening to us and if you want to share your like, oh, Mario, lonelyဖြစ်တာပဲဆိုပြီးစာရေးချင်တယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ရေးကြပါ please send us emails.
Lonely together.
Yeah, we can all be lonely together. We can have a lonely society and then like meet up on Google Meet or something and then talk about how lonely we all are.
That sounds really sad.
That sounds depressing, actually.
That sounds really depressing, but it sounds like we need that.
So this is the Unhinged people. We're out. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and have an awesome day, night, week, whatever time zone that you may be in and whatever time you're listening to us. So thank you for joining us, and see you all again.
See you.